Imagine this. You're scrolling through Wikipedia one day and you stumble upon something that shouldn't exist. A page titled List of Unclaimed Territories. You'd think every inch of land on Earth has been claimed by now, right? After all, we've mapped the entire planet. Every mountain peak has a flag on it. Every coastline belongs to someone. But here's where it gets weird. Because right in the heart of Europe, not in some remote corner of Antarctica, not in the middle of the Sahara Desert, but along the banks of the Danube River, there's a piece of land that nobody wants. 7 square kilometers. Larger than Monaco, larger than Vatican City. And for nearly a decade now, it's been the stage for one of the strangest geopolitical experiments in modern history. This is the story of Liberland. Welcome to the most absurd micronation in Europe. Let's rewind to 2015. A Czech politician named Vít Jedlička is sitting at his computer, frustrated. He's a libertarian, someone who believes in minimal government, maximum freedom, and the idea that people should be left alone to live their lives. But everywhere he looks, he sees governments growing bigger, taxes climbing higher, regulations multiplying. He's tried changing things in the Czech Republic. It hasn't worked. And then, in what can only be described as either genius or madness, Jedlička has an idea. What if, instead of trying to reform an existing country, he just started a new one? So he does what any reasonable person would do, he Googles unclaimed land. And that's when he finds it, a small stretch of floodplain on the western bank of the Danube River, wedged between Croatia and Serbia. According to his research, neither country claims it. It's terra nullius, no man's land. On April 13, 2015, Thomas Jefferson's birthday, chosen deliberately to invoke the spirit of the American Revolution, Jedlička travels to this forgotten piece of land, plants a flag, and declares the founding of the Free Republic of Liberland. Now, you might be wondering, how is this even possible? How can there be unclaimed land in Europe in the 21st century? The answer lies in one of the Balkan's many bizarre border disputes. When Yugoslavia collapsed in the 1990s, Croatia and Serbia suddenly found themselves as separate nations. And like many post-Yugoslav borders, theirs was complicated. Here's the thing, the Danube River is always changing. It meanders, it shifts. Over the decades, hydraulic engineering projects had straightened parts of it, and the river had naturally moved in other places. So when it came time to draw the border, Croatia and Serbia couldn't agree. Serbia said, the border is the Danube as it flows today. Croatia said, no, the border is where the Danube flowed in the 19th century when the original boundaries were drawn. The result? A territorial dispute where both sides claim several pockets of land on the eastern side of the river, but there are also a few tiny pockets on the western side, including one particular 7 square kilometer piece that neither country claims. From Serbia's perspective, that land is west of the current river, so it must be Croatia's. From Croatia's perspective, claiming it would mean accepting the current river as the border, which would force them to give up their larger claims on the eastern side. So neither country wants it. It's a bargaining chip, a geographical hostage situation. And into this legal void steps Vít Jedlička with his flag and his dream of freedom. Jedlička's vision for Liberland is radical. He wants to create a country based on libertarian ideas. Voluntary taxation, minimal government, maximum freedom. A place running on cryptocurrency. Think Singapore meets the American frontier meets a blockchain conference. Within days of the founding, applications start flooding in. 2,000 on the first day, 10,000 on the second, 200,000 by the third. People from all over the world want in. The idea resonates. A fresh start, a new country built from scratch, without the baggage of history. But there's a problem, a rather significant one, the Croatian police. Croatia doesn't officially claim the land, but they definitely don't want anyone else claiming it. They've been administering the area since the Croatian War of Independence, and they have no intention of letting some Czech libertarian waltz in and start a country. So they block access. Anyone trying to enter gets arrested. Jedlička himself has been detained multiple times. Journalists have been turned away, Danish activists, German volunteers, Irish supporters, dozens of people from various countries have been arrested for trying to reach Liberland. One Danish activist, Ulrik Hagensen, spent 15 days in prison for attempting to enter via boat on the Danube, which is technically an international waterway. The Croatian courts have been inconsistent. Some rulings have upheld the arrests, Others have said the lower courts failed to properly establish where the border actually is. It's legal chaos. But Jedlička doesn't give up. He establishes a provisional government with ministers of finance, foreign affairs, interior and justice, creates a flag, designs a cryptocurrency, even hires Zaha Hadid Architects, one of the most prestigious architectural firms in the world, to design a virtual Liberland in the metaverse. Because if they can't access the physical land, well, they build their country in virtual reality first. And this is where things get truly bizarre. Liberland becomes the first nation designed to exist in the metaverse before manifesting in real life, a country that's more digital than physical. By 2024, Liberland claims over 1,200 registered citizens who've paid up to $10,000 for passports. There are 735,000 citizenship applications pending. The movement generates $1,500,000 annually through donations and cryptocurrency operations. More than 99% of their reserves are held in Bitcoin. They conduct their first congressional election entirely through blockchain technology. They issue stamps and coins. The president visits Somaliland, another unrecognized state, to discuss mutual recognition. And yet, not a single United Nations member state recognizes them. So, here's the big question. Is Liberland a real country? According to the Montevideo Convention of 1933, which defines statehood under international law, a state must have four things: a permanent population, a defined territory, a government, and the capacity to enter into relations with other states. Liberland arguably has three of those. They have a government, they have defined borders, they are trying to establish international relations. The problem is the permanent population, because nobody can actually live there. Legal scholars are divided. A 2016 article in the Chicago Journal of International Law argued that if Croatia has renounced its claim and Serbia has renounced its claim, then the territory generally is terra nullius and Liberland would have a legitimate case. But Croatia hasn't officially renounced anything. They are playing a waiting game, keeping the land neutral, using it as leverage in their broader dispute with Serbia. And so Liberland exists in limbo. Not quite a country, not quite a fantasy, something in between. In April 2023, YouTuber Nico Omilana made headlines by entering Liberland on a jet ski, dodging Croatian police and planting a flag. The video went viral. Millions of views. Suddenly, Liberland was back in the news. By November 2023, supporters managed to establish a small camp on a river island within the claimed territory. They built makeshift wooden structures, stayed for weeks. The Croatian police eventually intervened, demolished the buildings, and arrested several people. But still, they keep trying. Here's what makes Liberland fascinating. It's not just a story about one man's libertarian fantasy. It's a story about borders, sovereignty, and what makes a country real in the first place. Throughout history, nations have been born from much less. The United States began with a declaration and a war. Israel was established through international recognition and conflict. Singapore was essentially kicked out of Malaysia and forced into independence. Liberland has none of the traditional ingredients for statehood. No military power, no international recognition, no control over its claimed territory. And yet, it persists. It has citizens, it has an economy, it has a government, it exists in the minds and wallets of hundreds of thousands of people around the world. The project has caught the attention of some unexpected supporters. After the election of Libertarian President Javier Milei in Argentina, Liberland pursued closer relations with Buenos Aires. Milei had mentioned Liberland at a convention back in 2019, long before his presidential campaign. Other micronations like the Principality of Sealand and the Kingdom of Enclava have expressed support for the idea. Critics, of course, call it a circus, a publicity stunt. Croatian legal experts have dismissed it as frivolous and potentially dangerous, arguing that it threatens Croatian territorial integrity despite Croatia not officially claiming the land. Serbian officials have been more dismissive than hostile, treating it as a trivial matter that doesn't infringe on their sovereignty. Meanwhile, Jedlička has been banned from entering Croatia for 5 years due to what authorities call extremist activities, which, let's be honest, is probably not the charge he expected when he started Googling for unclaimed land. The land itself remains empty. 7 square kilometers of floodplain covered in forests surrounded by Croatian police. No roads, no infrastructure, no permanent residents. Just the Danube flowing past, indifferent to the human drama unfolding on its banks. And somewhere in that forest, perhaps, a flag still stands, a symbol of an impossible dream. A country that exists everywhere and nowhere. The most absurd, most fascinating, most stubbornly hopeful micronation in Europe. Welcome to Liberland. Population debatable, status complicated, future unknown. But then again, isn't that how all great experiments begin?